Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few minutes' time, we're going to be quite less than minutes' time, we're going to take you through a wonderful graphic of the course produced by very magnificent in 2 strides. It will take you as the riders see the course as they go around, and that will take place in just a few seconds' time. So as you can see, the riders are going to
Hello and welcome to Riyadh for the 4th edition of Jump Saudi, playing host this week to a 5-star leg of the regional FEI Jumping World Cup qualifying series. The first leg of the series here in the Middle East ran here at this venue last weekend, but our riders already accruing points over on the North African Sub-League through the shows of the Morocco Royal Tour. As I say, a little bit colder this week than last. We're down to 17 degrees Celsius, and the temperature will continue to drop as we go through our 2-round competition here onto the desert night sky, and we've got 15 going to post. If you're familiar with the North American League or Western European League of Longines FEI Jumping World Cup, you will know that they are traditionally jump-off format classes. Here in this region, they are 2-round classes. So we have, with 15 starters, we have 4 places available in the second round, or all the clears come back if we have in excess of 4 clear rounds. Ramzi Al-Dahami, last week's winner, was already the leader of the standings. He consolidated his lead with last year's win, but looking also at the prize money of €300,000, and that's why you get riders from around the world like Gaudiano, the big winner last night, like Christian Alman, the winner of the 5-star Grand Prix last year, and like Saudi team manager and 5-star Grand Prix winner David Will for Germany. Alongside them, you've got the likes of Marie Dermont, Ines Joly, Ioli Mitilenu. So plenty of different nations represented here. There's Austrian medalist Gerfried Puk, Olympian this summer in Paris. A lot of riders actually here with their Olympic horses. So let's have a look at what Peter Schumacher has laid out for this second World Cup of the Jump Saudi Tour. He starts them going down towards the in-gate from the very top of the ring and makes this dogleg to number 2 before swinging past the in-gate and going directly away from the arch into what's a very busy line. You've got these checkerboard poles with the bright blue water tray underneath, dropping into a related distance up to a double 4A, 4B, which again is blue and white. So the overall thing looks very full to the horse's eye. You come from a double immediately past the big screen to the triple combination line, and it's vertical, oxer, vertical, 1 stride, 2 stride, and then here they're really going to have to make a decision about their stride pattern on this slight bending line down to number 6. It pushes them into the direction they want to go, though. They carry around the right rein back to number 7, the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee jump. Then it is the wall. The wall's really interesting. Of course, it's light and delicate. It's got a lot of holes in it as well for the horses to look through. It's quite an interesting visual jump. Full maximum height, metre 60 Saudi events vertical at number 9 before coming down to the Arabic carpets at 10. And then looking here for a good turn back, measured inside that floral decoration on course to a line that is triple bar, dropping into a distance then to a metre 60 vertical plank topped in those brown fadeaway colours of the Diriyah Square. 1 jump to go then, metre 55 high, metre 60 wide, the final oxer, all to be completed within an 83 seconds time allowed. There is the man in charge, Peter Schumacher, our course designer. He gave us an excellent 2-round competition here last week, and no reason to doubt the same here in the 5-star week, and it's been interesting to see the development of his philosophy across those 2 weeks so far. €308,600 in the prize fund, meaning it is the highest Longines World Ranking points on offer, and also for the regional riders, those all-important FEI Jumping World Cup points as well. We've got all of the top 5 in the Middle Eastern Sub-League riding with us tonight and hoping to increase their points tally as the season really gets underway here in the region, all the way to the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup finals in Basel. 15 on the start list, as I said, all those different nations. Emanuele Camilli, the Olympian for Italy, joins us with his Paris horse Odense Odeveld, Yuli Mitilenu, L'artiste Toxadria, Gaudiano, Nicolas de Music, David Wills, Zinadream, got Sergio Neutmann Jr. and Corina Bleu. He's not one to discount either. Ramzi Dahami, of course, hoping to make it 2 in a row. Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi and Cobalt. He is one of the top 5 on the standings. Abdullah Al Shabatli in great form here over these couple of weeks. Christian Alman and Mandato, keeping perhaps Otorongo Alpha Z for the Grand Prix tomorrow night to try and make it back-to-back victories in that 5-star Grand Prix year on year for Christian Alman. So Marie Desmonts, Epona de Kenoy, top 10 last week in the World Cup qualifier. There were 7 or 8 through to the second round, so she just missed out on that last week. And a little bit of prize money in the 4-star Grand Prix with Epona last week too. As I say, onto the format here. Any clear goes through. But we'll take a minimum of 4 forward, even with faults. Jumping through that double. As I say, this is a really busy section of the course, and you know, the triple combination, he's certainly not giving anything away because you have the triple, and you know, maybe if it had been 4-star week, he would have just let you carry on to the end of the ring. But then he has probably one of the biggest related distance decisions in terms of the stride pattern that they need to ride for down to that red fence on the curving line. It's right up in the air, hangs over that wall. Like say, Marie Epona de Kenoy Just seen this horse be one that likes to take a little bit of a look and really understand the questions, and that wall is certainly something that they won't have seen very much. This Daraya fence used nearly every day last week. This is the first time we see it this week come into the ring, and of course, as you can imagine, with those sandy colours, very, very, you know, up in the spectrum of difficulty in terms of the colours and patterns used on the materials here in the ring. Marie and Epona de Kenoy with the late 4/4, 76.36. They'll just have to wait and see whether that is going to bring them through. But Marie is our first safely home in round one. Yeah, and there's so much to play with there. It's the distance. You know, she got a good jump in over the triple bar. She kept that pace up, though, and it meant that opponent jumped a little bit at rather than over that plank, and it is so light, and with that colour that is going to fade into the background a little bit more than others. Manuela Camilli, Odense Odeveld, the first of our Paris Olympic combinations that we see in the ring here tonight, World Cup night. Our Western European League riders, they cannot pick up points here, but they can pick up world ranking points and, of course, prize money. Jumping a couple of times just recently over in Mexico, as also was Christian Allman. Yeah, and that distance there comes home to roost, as we think it will a couple of times. So Camilli now needs to try and keep it to just the 4 faults. We saw Gaudiano last week so very close to making it into the second round. If we hadn't had all of the available spaces taken by clear rounds, he would have got in with an incredibly fast 4 faults. Camilli hasn't necessarily, he's a long way off that, picked up the pace in the way that we sometimes see from Gaudiano. And he's going to be that shade slower than Marie Dermont. 78.14, and it is with 2 down, having had a rail out of the triple bar too. So Emmanuel Camilli sitting second on our ranking so far. So Camilli with the 2 down, who's going to give us our first clear round. And remember, any clear goes through. Ines Joly next in the ring here. Ines with her ride from the recent launching Global Champions Super Grand Prix. Ambassador, Ines qualified for that Super Grand Prix thanks to victory in one of the richest Grand Prix of the summer season. Launching Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Monaco. €1.5 million total prize fund. And it's just uses a good bit of a 45 seconds in the ring on the countdown, just lets the horse really settle, and comes in, just picked up a nice pace for the early part of this round. And Ambassador making a good shape out of this pace as well, so they've got a good rhythm that's answering the question so far. Just pushed a little bit A to B, and now just needs to hold back, gets it all answered. So a little bit of a rattle on the back rail. It could play to their advantage, though, make the horse jump very clean over that wall. 1.60 as it is, maximum height over on the side of the ring. Still a good bit of course to go, but this has never, ever looked in doubt. Lovely spot. One more to go for Ines Joly to be clear round number 1 and make it into the second round. She does so. 78.52 is the time taken. Ines Joly and Ambassador are clear round number 1 of the evening. We'll see them in round 2. You see Ines ranked just outside the world's top 100. Another set of valuable AA Longines World Ranking points tonight could make a big difference to that ranking at the turn of the new year on the monthly rolling Longines FEI Jumping World Rankings. So a very, very good start to the evening for Ines Joly, already a class winner with us across the 2 weeks of Jump Saudi, but this could be the biggest win of the fortnight. It's the biggest class of the fortnight with those at 300,000 euros in the prize fund. So who will join her? As I say, we know we're going to start a minimum of 4 riders regardless in the second round. But are we going to see our first round athletes deliver 4 or more clear rounds? If we get more clear rounds, they all get to come back. Khaled Al Mobdi, second in the Grand Prix last week. Khaled with his other horse, his Paris Olympic horse Jaguar King. This is Space Cake. Space Cake was his horse for the World Cup finals this spring here in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and actually jumped the World Cup with Space Cake last week as well. Very prompt and decisive up there to 3 to 4. Such a lot of talent and quality in the Saudi A squad's riding at the moment. I thought he'd done a very good job keeping the rhythm around that corner, because it is such a long corner, especially going past the in-gate as well. And it did look like Space Cake just fell behind the leg a couple of times, and I thought Khaled had just got the horse exactly back where he needed, but obviously just missing a little bit of impetus to make the back rail out of that Saudi fence. A little bit the same. My goodness, Space Cake shows a lot of scope to clear that wide triple bar, and then Khaled, you know, he doesn't just sit there and wait for it to happen, he makes it happen up to that plank. Watching the time, 83 seconds time allowed. Yeah, 1 for time as well. 4 for jumping, 1 for time for Khaled Al Mobdi and Space Cake. Khaled, who sits second in the overall regional standings of FEI Jumping World Cup action at the moment. He might have just opened the door to be overtaken by some of the other riders, not least next to come Ali Al Kharafi, who sat third going into today's leg. Yeah, in both circumstances, kind of turning up from this in-gate end of the arena. You had the Saudi fence down, you had that moment at the triple bar at number 11 as well. So Q80 rider Ali Al Kharafi with Ali's horse from the Asian Games in Hangzhou, China. Ali actually the winner of the 2-star Grand Prix earlier on with another of his good horses, Karat. And Ali just picking up some points last week for a prize-winning place in week 1 of World Cup action here in the region. But Ali, like several of the others inside the top 5 here in the Middle East, had already picked up points on Morocco Royal Tour as well. Those North African shows, so they're in the Arab League. There are 2 sub-leagues, the North African sub-league and the Middle Eastern sub-league. And whilst last week and this week are the first two shows of the Middle Eastern Sub-League. The athletes can pick up points over in North Africa and did so. So Ali Al-Kharafi on the back foot now, 2 rails down inside the triple combination line. And again, you just see another horse that just needs to have his focus recentered, coming around that long swing after number 6 back to the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee fence at 7. It's quite unusual for this horse, as I say, a decent championship horse. Plenty of good results at the higher end of the sport meter, 50, 55, 60. And they want to hang and really have to reach for the width of that triple bar as well. It'll be interesting to see how often that plays a part. You know, we saw Marie Demont have the plank after it down, and again, Marie's horse maybe just took a little bit of a look at the triple bar. We've seen a couple of horses now who've had one have it down, and another horse has really stretched for it, having taken off a shade or so early. So Ali, with time falls to 12 for jumping, 2 for time, it's going to be 14 for him. Ioli Mitileniu and L'artiste de Toxandra. Greek championship contender over the last few cycles. Ioli and L'Artiste represented Greece at the Paris Olympic Games, making Ioli a second-generation Olympian for Greece, following in her mother's footsteps. Fourth in the World Cup last week, so one of those second-round contenders. We've only got one guaranteed second-round contender so far, and that's Ines Joly. Nicely answers the question set there by that very intense section of the course, especially the triple on the dog leg down to the red and white. Really kept the activity going, sort of move up to the Oxa there out of the long 270-degree rollback turn. Second week in a row into the second round. Ioli Mitileniu and L'Artiste de Toxandra are clear. In terms of time, 79.25, that's shade slower than Ines Joly, but has an opportunity to take a good share of the prize money here once again. Fourth last week, and now second round contender for the second week in a row. L'Artiste de Toxandra and Ioli Mitileniu.
Stop here, I can take the books off.
Oh, with the rider who would hope that he could follow on his good form from last night. Winning the world ranking class with this horse, Nicolage de Music. It is Gaudiano, Manuel Gaudiano for Italy, Italian Olympian, and again a returning rider to Jump Saudi. put a real angle on that. I thought he was actually going to maybe even try and get inside the floral decoration. As it is, he's just punched away the white flag off the back standard. More haste, less speed, unfortunately. Having hustled a little bit, the horse just cuts down on the back rail of the Oxer middle element of the triple combination. For sure, he was always going to be fast, and now he's in exactly the scenario he was in last week here in the Jumping World Cup. He rode Chalu's Love in that competition to try and be a very fast four-faulter and see whether that could take him through to the second round. Of course, becoming academic then at the rail at the top of the arena for 8 faults. There is no way an 8-faulter is getting in. We've got 2 zeros, 1 4, 1 5 holding the top 4 places. As you say, in a 2-round format, we guarantee ourselves a minimum of 4 athletes in the second round, but if we have more clears than that, they all get to come back. If we have fewer clears, then somebody with faults might get to come back. Just a good shot there of them clipping away that flag off number 2. I mean, he went into the first couple of fences on this like he was already in the second round, very much against the clock, but that's kind of Gaudiano's way, and when he rides like that, his horses know that it's really, really on. Inisholi and Ioli Mitilenu know for sure that they are coming back. Marie Demont, Khaled Al Mobti have to wait and see. We are halfway through the first round of jumping here of the World Cup qualifier of Jump Saudi. And remember, as a 2-rounder, we'll take a decent break between round 1 and 2, but they don't come back and walk the course, so it's going to be about, from your perspective, about 25 minutes between rounds, and we'll see how many we're going to have. It was 7 last week. How many will it be in 5-star week 2? Let's remind ourselves of our best 3 so far. Marie Demont, Ioli Metelenu, Inisholi, Innis and Ioli on those 0 scores. Well, out of those top 3, we know we are going to see Greek Olympian Ioli Mitilenu, Lattis Toxandria and Inisholi together with her Longines Global Champion Super Grand Prix horse Ambassador Z back for the second round. They are both on 0. Marie Desmonts has to wait and see. She's on 4. Khaled Al Mobti on 5. Probably knows that he'll be overtaken once or twice, but 4 places available. So Guardiano is out. As I say, minimum of 4 places based on the number of starters, and if we need to, we'll bring forward riders with faults. However, if we have 4 or more clear rounds, they all get to come back, and that's why Innes and Ioli are sure of their places. Sometimes in a 2-round competition, it is a strict number for the second round, and therefore you lose maybe some of your clears simply based on time. That's not the case here for the World Cup format in the region. And still to come, in the second half, we have several more of the top 5 of the regional standings. We've got 5th place Emirati rider Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi. We've got Abdullah Al Shabatli of Saudi Arabia, who is in 4th on the standings, but all very close. And of course, Ali Al Karafi and Khaled Al Mobdi sitting 3rd and 2nd have not qualified for the second round as yet. And we still have Ramzi Al Dahami. Ramzi, the winner of this competition last week with the dressee, rides Untouchable tonight and hopes that he's going to pick up another full set of points. Here is the second part starting order, starting with Saudi team manager David Ville and his 5-star President's Cup Grand Prix winner from the Longines League of Nations Abu Dhabi, Zinedream. Egor Skribrik, who we saw on the podium earlier on today, the Palestinian rider from the Young Riders Academy. Sergio Neutmann, Ramzi Al Dahami, last week's winner, Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi, Abdullah Al Shabatli, Abdullah who won the Grand Prix with us last week, Christian Alman and Mandato, and then last to go, Gerfried Puk and Equitron Naxel. So how many more clears will we get? So David Ville, one of his early major successes was a victory in the World Cup qualifier at Sertogenbosch. Has gone on, he's won the King's Cup at Hickstead, the Rolex Grand Prix Piazza di Siena in Rome. And as we mentioned with Zinedream, this spring's President's Cup 5-star Nations Cup Grand Prix at the Longines League of Nations. On that turn than some, but you know, clearly, you know, the tactic, the way he wants to attack this course a little bit with Zinedream. He just brought Zinedream out yesterday for a run in the 2 phase, qualified easily for the 2nd phase, and then pulled up after a few jumps just to tune up. Zinedream, of course, 2nd in last week's leg of the World Cup. Oh, did you see that? What a rattle at the last, but it stayed. David Ville is clear with Zinedream, so again, for the 2nd week in a row, he will be part of the 2nd round action in this World Cup qualifier. He was part of a podium made up of 2 of his A squad riders for Saudi Arabia last weekend as well. Can he go 1 place better this week? Zinedream, David Ville qualified. So far, our guaranteed riders in the 2nd round are all for Europe. David Ville, Germany, Ines Joly, France, Ioli Mytilene, Greece, and actually that is the order based on time. So David Ville and Zinedream also very, very fast, 73.54. And we remarked on that. You could see how he was attacking, how he was prompt, how he was economic in his turns. So every single class this week has been a top 5 finish. 3 of them podium finishes, thirds and seconds, but not yet a win here. What can he do in the biggest class of the week, the meter 60 World Cup qualifier? Ego Skibrik and Emir de Arcourt. Positive start here. Ego's Emir de Arcourt just outside the top 10 in last weekend's Grand Prix and inside the top 10 of the World Cup. That was another one who just missed his place in the second round. It was an unlucky 4 faults in round 1 for the young man from Palestine. As we've been mentioning, part of the 2023 intake of the prestigious Young Riders Academy. Recently celebrated its 10th anniversary. This is going very well here for the young rider. Just looks for this final line. And again, we just get a little bit of a touch off that triple bar. He's quite forward over the plank. You can see the horse having to be very, very careful behind for that plank, and he is clear. So, having been tantalizingly close last weekend, Ego Skibrik and Emir de Arcourt make it through to the second round. And now it is clears only. Marie Demont and all of those behind her on faults have lost their place in that second round. And we are 4 clears so far, and probably 1 or 2 more to come. So we will have a second round of all bringing forward a 0 score. So confirmation, David will. Also Ego's time, 78.21, just nipping in front of Inish Jolie on that stage of the leaderboard as well, which will set the second round starting order. So one of the contenders last week in the second round here of the World Cup action, Sergio Neutmann Jr. and Corina Bleu, they ended up finishing in 6th place out of the 7-strong second round. Running 2 of our contenders from last week already have booked their ticket for round 2 out of the 4 clears we have to hand. So it just has a little bit of a drift to the right. And Sergio doing a good job just easing out that left hand, moving the horse back on line. But yeah, again, that drift jumps to the right, straightens, jumps to the right, straightens, but then the distance to the last part of the triple combination just wasn't there for them. So not able to replicate last week's performance, and actually won't be within touching distance either, now that they have 2 down. Is he going to be able to keep it to just the 2? Gaudiano and Camilli both for Italy on that score of 8, so it will come down to time. Gaudiano difficult to beat in terms of time, 69.63, and it turns into a 12 now as some of the real highlight fences, that Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee turning away from the in-gate, the long 270-degree turn, and the triple bar down together with the early rail out of the triple combination as well for Sergio Neutmann Jr. and Corina Bleu, so it is that total of 12.
So now local crowd favourite, it is from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Al-Aziz Al-Bilhami, who will be the Saudi Arabian Equestrian Federation's 11-year-old Hanoverian mare. track, ball 32.
So the tone goes here in Riyadh for last week's winner, Ramzi Al Dahami. Ramzi, winner last week with Addressee. This week rides his Paris Olympic horse, Untouchable. Untouchable has been with Ramzi right through the last couple of cycles, with the Asian Games, the World Cup finals this spring in Riyadh, and now the Olympic Games as well this summer. Untouchable finished the week last week just outside the top 5 in the 4-star Grand Prix. And as I say, Ramzi choosing to just swap the horses around this week in terms of their focus. So we expect Addressee on the start list for tomorrow night's 5-star meter 55 Grand Prix to conclude Jump Saudi 2024. Ramzi was already the leader of the standings coming into these 2 weeks at Jump Saudi thanks to his performances in the World Cup Series at Morocco Royal Tour. Points last week for the outright win of the qualifier will have done his standing no harm, and is saying that Saudi riders really engaged with going to the World Cup finals and representing themselves as strongly as possible. You know, it unlocks support from the likes of the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee and the government through the federation, a little bit in the same way that the US consider their World Cup riders to be part of the US team, even though it is an individual competition. They go there as a team. So Ramzi won't make it 2 in a row. That line that we've seen cause problems one end or the other, triple bar or light plank. It is light plank, unfortunately, at number 12 that stands for Ramzi. So we're going to see a different winner this week of the World Cup qualifier here in Saudi. Ramzi Al Dahami and Untouchable, though, we'll see whether they can be overtaken in terms of the standings. So, one who could use today to really climb the rankings, sitting 5th so far on the FEI jumping standings for the region, Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi, Cobalt van der Bisschop. So Sheikh Ali, not necessarily going to be one of our fastest clears if he is clear. Cobalt 6th last night in the world ranking class with a single time fault, but again, I wouldn't have said that Sheikh Ali was necessarily trying for the time. It was about getting the horse out and jumping a big chunky meter 50 track the day before World Cup. A little bit unlucky in the first round last week, this pair. Oh, but they got lucky there. Will the luck stay on their side? There's not really very much more force you could have put on that front rail without it rolling free of the cup. Just ends up using the floral decoration as a bit of a break. I think his horse thought they were maybe going to go outside. He was able to use it as a little bit of a handrail and get back up. Watching the time, 83.21, it is 1 for time. It is no second round for Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi. So very, very close, but not to be, unfortunately. But he'll always rank behind the clears. There are 3 more to start, so there are 4 in the second round. A maximum of 7 could make it through, and points for 8th will do Sheikh Ali no harm at all. And of course, legs of the series to come yet in the UAE and in Qatar. in our FEI Jumping World Cup Arab League Middle Eastern Sub-League. So after these first two legs here at Jump Saudi,
الثنائي التالي على البيداء فارس المملكة العربية السعودية الفارس عبد الله الشبكي والجواب
legs to come, as I said, in the likes of UAE, Qatar, Kuwait. The very next leg coming up next weekend in Al Ain in the UAE, and then just after the turn of the new year, Kuwait plays host to their leg, and then during the Doha Tour, Doha Al Shakab, Abu Dhabi, UAE, with back-to-back legs. Kuwait once again, Doha also hosting in mid-February, and Sharjah in the UAE will host the 10th and final leg of this Middle Eastern sub-league. Abdullah Shabatli now wants to see whether he can steer Bookman's Lord Petsy Jr. into the second round. And of course, with already 4 qualified, he'll be relatively keen to be fast, to be up there as well. Petsy and Abdullah were third in the World Cup qualifier last week, and he ended up winning the Grand Prix with Fumicino van der Kalevalai. And Abdullah, so fourth on the standings going into today's leg. There's a real opportunity for everything to shift around, because none of the other riders who are inside the top 5 have made it and qualified for the second round. The points are pretty close, as you'd imagine at this early stage. Abdullah, one of the main stalwarts of the Saudi team for a very, very long time now, going back to that world medal in 2010, the Olympic team medal in 2012, and is the reigning Asian Games individual gold medalist just at the moment as well. Still clear as he looks for his next, this vertical across the top of the ring. Petsy, as he's been doing for the whole 2 weeks, just twist and work his body sometimes when he gets that little bit of pressure. Oh no, no. It was will we, won't we, as to whether they should even come out of that corner. They took a risk on it, and Petsy did his very, very best, but Abdullah then knew that he absolutely wasn't going to get the next one, and didn't push his luck. So commiserations. It does look like maybe he's just going to walk out of the ring and retire rather than concluding that round. Again, we know without a clear, there's not much to be done. The points do go down a decent way, but they won't make a huge difference at this early stage. It's funny, and again, you know, the horse was just doing that thing of bucking and twisting down in that corner, and he was in a difficult spot there from a stride or two away, and then there wasn't very much that Abdullah could do. He did well to stick with the horse actually through that triple bar, but then, you know, control was very much gone to even think about taking on the next fence, and actually, you know, probably the right decision on Abdullah's behalf as well. But commiserations for last week's Grand Prix winner. He really would have liked to have made a mark in this World Cup qualifier tonight. Of course, you know, making a mark last weekend with third by very, very close margin in the World Cup with Petsy. Not their night tonight. So all of the top 5 in the series haven't made it through, and indeed Igor Skribik is our only regional rider represented in the second round at the moment. So one of the riders who's been world #1, European champion, World Cup champion, Olympian, Alman absolutely clatters that rail going away from the in-gate with Mandato, but it stays. He jumped Mandato in the World Cup last week as well with Otorango Alpha for the Grand Prix. It looks like he's going to stay with the same plan for week 2. Was on the podium of this class last year, but would like to go better and take the victory. Ines Joly that was kind of a round that never seemed in doubt. I don't want to put the mockers on him as the horse takes a dive. He's very, very slight over the top of that plank, but he is clear. 78 seconds. He's not the fastest. Davidville is that little bit faster. He sneaks in front of Igor Skribek, though. It is the second fastest, Christian Alman, Mandato van der Neerheide, and qualified for round 2. So that brings us up to 5 qualifiers for round 2. Let's see if we can make it 6 here in a moment. Look at that, and this was sort of the way Mandato was going, because again, when you think back to the way he was very, very slight over the plank as well on the way home, he just does have that tendency to be very, very tight to the top of a jump every so often. But clear, leaving them all standing. But I'd say Christian's heart was in his mouth when he heard the noise of that rail at fence 3. Paris Olympic combination then for Austria, Gerfried Puck and Equitron Naxel. Gerfried ended up having his best result really last week. Well, all on the last day. He won the meter 45 jump-off finale with Ornat. He was third in the Grand Prix with Naxel. Can he bring his successors forward by a day this week and feature in this World Cup qualifier? So it's really interesting how intensely Peter Schumacher has built this section of the course. Gerfried, actually pretty familiar from Europe with Peter Schumacher's tracks, but actually one of his happy hunting grounds this year was the 3 weeks of Doha Tour in the spring, and that was a lot of Peter Schumacher courses over those 3 January weeks. Just trying to hold Naxel up into his hand. You heard him rattle that back rail at the Saudi Olympic and Paralympic jump. As I said last week, it just seemed like his 2 horses were really, really fresh. Just didn't have the total control and rideability he's used to. They're certainly in better shape this week, but Naxel is not making this super, super easy for Gerfried Puck. Easy or not, it looks like they're going to be clear. Davidville will remain the fastest clear round, but it is going to be Gerfried Puck joining the ranks of the starting field of the jump-off. Jump-off second round. There will be 6 in it. Gerfried Puck just actually will go second, but it's by quite a margin. He's still more than 3 seconds slower than Davidville. It's Davidville, Gerfried Puck, Christian Alman, the top 3. And as we say, 6 qualified for the second round, with just 1 regional rider making it through. Igor Skribek, with Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi's single time fault, probably quite valuable today for the rider who came in inside the top 5 of the regional standings of the FEI Jumping World Cup Series. So the standings after round 1 has Davidville in the lead, 1 of 6 on a 0 score alongside Gerfried Puck, Christian Alman, Igor Skribek, Ines Joly, an ambassador who actually delivered our first clear round. And 78.52 has them as the 5th best. Remember, they come back in the order based on time. So Eli Mitleni will be our trailblazer in round 2. Then Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi getting those points for 7th. Marie Demont. Ramzi Al Dahami will have top 10 points. So will Khalid Al Mobti. Khalid, who was second on the standings. Ramzi was the leader after last week. Gaudiano and Camili both on 8 faults. Sergio Neutmann, who was part of our second round last week, doesn't go his way this week. And then we have Abdullah Al Shabatli electing to retire, having been a podium finisher 7 days ago. So quite a dynamic change around as we step up to the 5-star meter 60 level for leg 2 of World Cup action in this second week of Jump Saudi. We have just under 30 minutes on the clock before our next horse and rider is in the ring, to the first of 6 taking on the second round of this FEI Jumping World Cup. Come back and join us then.
just under 15 minutes to go until we have our second round of this fantastic CSI 5-star FEI World Cup, the 1 meter 60 class. 6 combinations coming back to join us. Yoli Itilineo, Ines Jolie, Igor Shikrik, Christian Alban, Jeffrey Cook, and David Well. Those are the 6 riders coming back to join us. A whole range of countries there: Greece, France, Palestine, Germany twice, and Austria once. What a great second round we will be having in just under 14 minutes time.
Hello and welcome back to Riyadh here in Saudi Arabia as we prepare to continue and conclude the FEI World Cup qualifier. A two-round competition, and we have 6 qualified for that second round based on jumping clear over Peter Schumacher's first round track. Down to 60 degrees Celsius, those burners out in the trade stand and village area will be pretty popular here this evening. As I say, the desert, very few clouds to keep the warmth of the day in. And it truly starts to feel a little bit more like December. I know that that's not quite what you might think if you're watching us from Europe in the deep midwinter, but 16 degrees, pretty chilly here, especially in comparison for the horses to just 7 days ago. Well, looking back at round 1, David Ville and Zinedream. David, who was second here last week, has the opportunity to go one better because his competitors from last week aren't against him, and he has also scored the fastest first round clear and gets the best of the draw. Ramzi Al Dahami, Ramzi last week's winner, unfortunately couldn't quite make it through today. It is that line that we had of triple bar to the very Daraya plank that counted against Ramzi here for the opportunity to be in the second round. One of the regional riders, Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi, capitalised once again. He was just outside the starting field of the second round last week. He's just outside again, and he is one who was inside the top 5 of the jumping standings of the World Cup and could capitalise by that finish in eventual 7th position. Clear, but a single time fault keeping him out of the second round. And then last year's podium finisher in this 5-star World Cup, winner of the 5-star Grand Prix, Christian Alman riding Mandato van der Neerheide, came very close to having a rail themselves early on in the course, but ended up posting the clear round, and they will be one of the 6 clear rounds. Just one regional rider in amongst them as well, and that's Palestinian rider Ego Shkibrik. So we look here in terms of standings, but our clear rounds will be coming back in reverse order. So actually first in the ring before those 5 you see will be Greek Olympian Ioli Mitileniu with her Paris horse L'Artiste de Toxandria. There's Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi getting points for 7th on the FEI World Cup standings. Marie Damont, Ramzi Al Dahami, probably his points for 9th will keep him as leader in the standings. Khaled Al Mobti and Space Cake outside the second round for the second week in a row. Our 2 Italian riders both on 8. And Abdullah Al-Shabatli from last week's podium electing to retire after it didn't quite go his way up that line of triple bar to Daraya plank. So a second shorter course is set up and awaiting our 6 athletes. Let's see where it goes. Well, it's actually going to start out over fence 7. Fence 7 was quite influential in the first run, but based on its approach here, they get to use it as their first fence. They go across to the blue wall. It's got poles now. It is not a wall. Before they turn back and follow the course as was, 1, 2, 3. So coming down, number 1, it's got those yellow horizontal stripes on the rails, a right-hand bending line down to this big oxa, and here, just like Gaudiano in the first round, they're going to be looking to try and knife across that oxa and get as tight and as economic a turn as they can back to a big vertical here at the bottom of the ring, number 3. It measured 158 to be exact in round 1, and then they ride this distance up to the double 4A, 4B. From there, it is a right-handed roll-back turn to the big meter 60 vertical at number 9, and then they go back to the triple bar. However, it's built now as a vertical, and we jump it in the opposite direction, so we'll call it fence 15, but in that influential spot in the ring and galloping all out down to it to try and take on the victor, the winner's circle of this FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier. Peter Schumacher has been our designer over the 2 weeks of Jump Saudi. He gave us an excellent 2-round competition last week at the 4-star meter 50 level for the World Cup opener, and so far it seemed like a cracker this weekend as well. He has a 56 seconds time allowed, but really it is all about the clock here. It's not quite a jump off, it's a little bit longer, it's a little bit more technical than a jump off, and that was what was particularly enjoyable about last week's competition. You know, it's very difficult to define, but when you watch last week's competition, you understand that the nuance of it. It was very much a 2-round competition and not a jump-off competition, and I think this course will work out much the same here tonight. moments away from the first to go. Here is our starting list, as we said, reverse order of faults and time from the first round. We had a minimum of 4 who were going to come back to us. We actually got 6 riders jump clear, and as I say, only 1 rider from the region who's going to pick up those valuable World Cup points, and he will pick up points for top 6 guaranteed, Egor Skribrik. But could the Palestinian rider pick up his first win of the week? He's been having a very successful and consistent week. He's been 3 times on the podium here in Jump Saudi Week 2. Davidville and Zinedream, though, become the ones to beat. They are the best score in round 1. They were the runners-up last week, and their 2 other podium partners are not represented in the second round. So 4th place finisher last week in the World Cup with Lartice, top 5 finisher in the Grand Prix with her other horse, a class winner last week, La Perle van der Heffink. What can she do as first to go? Of course, a very difficult draw to have any second round or jump off going first. You're riding with no information. Some riders prefer it. They prefer to just ride their own plan and tactic and not have to worry too much about what other people have done. So Iole Mitilenu, Lartista Toxandria. Let's say one of several horse and rider pairs who represented their country at the Paris Olympic Games to be with us here for these 2 weeks of Jump Saudi. And that's a great bit of prestige for the show amongst the 24 different nations represented here across the 2 weeks. This 4th edition of the Saudi Jumping Championships. So it's going to take an approach off the left rein and continues, of course, then on the left-hand curving line up to where the wall was. You can see now replaced with the poles. Great daring there to number 1, but I think there's more that can be done. You can see, interestingly, he's taken the flowers away there to just let them cut it through the midst of where they were. 22, 23 seconds, jumping number 3 away from the in-gate. Oh, sneaks into the base of that, has to work hard. Iole Lartista Toxandria turning back, a very, very good turn there. Sees a long one and carries the pace on down here to the last. It's double clear for Iole Mitilenu and Lartista Toxandria. How valuable will it end up being in that time of 42 seconds exactly? Iole Mitilenu, Lartista Toxandria, the ones to beat. As I say, 4th last week, guaranteed top 6 this week. Let's see how that 42 seconds plays out. We'll get an official split time now from our second and subsequent riders, but our rough split had her at 23 seconds jumping away from the in-gate at number 3.
You could have a to be honest, it's probably one of the best jump-offs you've done.
That's cracking to hear. One of the best jump-offs he's ever done. Our Olympic horse. So Iole happy with that. As we go to Ines Joly, another real star of the sport. Victory this summer at the Longines Global Champions Tour Grand Prix of Monaco. This Ambassador is the horse she rode then in the Super Grand Prix here in Riyadh a couple of weeks ago. And she's going to make the S-bending line. So she comes in off the right-hand approach, drops in now to go left up to the wall. This, I would have thought, would be the more usual start. She has a rail. So that means Iole is top 5 guaranteed. She's got a little bit more angle and slice on that. And she is 22 or so seconds jumping that. So we have her up roughly and officially 2/3 of a second up. But now another rail, unfortunately, for Ines Joly and Ambassador. So they're on 8 in the second round. I mean, just not focusing on this at all. And it's not, you know, going at this pace is not unusual. For whatever reason, it's just not coming together for them tonight. And you go back to the first round, and I'll say it and I'll stand by it, their clear round in the first round never looked in doubt. Real shame. Such a change of fortune for Inishuli and Ambassador there to have 12 faults in the total time of 43.09. So the 12 is what really counts, with Ioli Mitilenu's clear round in 42. Still looking very good. How long will it continue looking good, as there's some incredible horse and rider pairs still to come? So a lot of his compatriots from the Young Riders Academy contesting the Under-25 Tour at the Indoor Salon in Geneva in Switzerland. That regional rider for Palestine, Egor Skibrik, is with us here. He delivered the 4th clear round earlier on, and time-wise has this draw, 3rd to go. Just like we suggested, he is also going to come in off the right rein and licks away the front rail off the first. That's going to change people's thoughts about the approach. Ioli is our only clear round, and she came in off the left rein. He's got a very nice angle there over the jump side. He comes really direct down here, because if he can stay on 4, who knows how valuable that could end up being. Time-wise, pretty good. Again, if we ended up with double clears all the way home, he'd be 5th, but you know, who knows at this stage even what a fast 4 could be worth, the way this course is going. Taps the back rail, but it's good. He stays 0.6 of a second up, and Egor Skibrik is a 4-faulter in 41.35, so going into 2nd place as things currently stand here in our World Cup qualifier, and as I say, the only regional rider as well, so the only one who can really benefit from the points in this 2nd round. Obviously got to be a bit disappointed with having that first down. Can just happen, but the fast time, if he'd been on the 0 score, he'd be new leader. That's how it breaks down sometimes. But we have 3 very strong challengers now. Christian Ahlmann, Gerfried Puck, David Will, before we know the ultimate destination of this World Cup qualifier. Christian Ahlmann was on the podium in this World Cup qualifier last year, but he'd like to take the victory in 2024. Mandato van der Neerheide. Mandato, amongst other 5-star appearances, was Christian's horse for the World Cup finals this spring here in Riyadh. Touch there over what was the wall. It was quite interesting. He came in off the right rein, but he actually did a flying change about 2 strides away onto the left leg on his approach to number 1. So we really saw Christian ride out of his skin fast here with us yesterday. We're not quite seeing that here, but potentially he's just letting the experience of him and Mandato separately and together make the difference, and it really does. 1.7 seconds, that's pretty good. Christian Ahlmann and Mandato, the ones to beat. Christian Ahlmann apparently made the mistake of explaining that he has to play Baby Shark every day to his kids in the car on the way to school, and suddenly it's become his clear round music for the 2 weeks here at Jump Saudi. So a nice bit of work there from Christian Ahlmann. Podium is assured as he goes into the lead. 40.29 seconds, a good bit faster than Ioli Mitileanu, a good bit faster than Egor Skibrik as well, who was previously our fastest over the course, albeit at the cost of a single rail, 4 faults. Geoffrey Pook, Equitron, Naxel, another Paris Olympic pairing. So 2 double clears, Christian Alman, Ioli Mitelenu. Christian is assured of a podium result. He can finish no lower than 3rd. There's Geoffrey Pook and then David Will still to start in this second round before we know the eventual result. Well, from a rider who we find it quite unusual to see him riding out of his skin, riding fast to one, who that is the standard way of going. Geoffrey Pook here. Fifth with Naxel in the World Cup last week. Actually rode Naxel on into the Grand Prix as well. Most riders chopped and changed. He thought the best thing to do is to keep his horses right on those 2 focused classes. He has the vertical down going out of the double at the top of the course, so that means that Ioli is going to finish on the podium today, and we're guaranteed a German winner. Look at this time, 40.23, 600ths faster. That was a real challenge. That was a real risk and danger for Christian Alman. The rail played into Alman's hands. Geoffrey Pook now going into 3rd for the moment, whilst we see if David Will can deliver a double clear and move up from 2nd last week to the winner's circle this week with Zinedine. Just slots in nicely there over number 3. He has Naxel in good shape, it looks like, coming up here. Do you know what? He caught it behind. With that other angle, you couldn't even see the horse touch the rail. So David Zinedine. Last week's winner, Ramzi Al-Dahami, one of the A squad riders under David. Together with Emil Hendricks there on the kiss and cry. Let's see whether David Will can overtake teammate and countryman Christian Alman's time of 40.29. Coming in off the left rein, but actually further right. He wasn't inside the way Ioli was. So he's pretty straight on his approach. He's got a lovely spot there. Really direct down. Angles across that oxer. Short turn here and push. Oh! It stays. 40.29 to beat. He's just got 1 to go. Can he do it? It's going to be incredibly close, as you'd expect. But Zinedine was the fastest in the first round, and he's fastest in this round. 1.6 seconds. It is a German 1-2, but it is David Will and Zinedine who move 1 place up the ranking. They were the runners-up last week. This week, they take the lion's share of the AA Longines World Ranking points in this €300,000 FEI World Cup class. Christian Alman takes 2nd, Ioli Mitelenu 3rd, Geoffrey Pook 4th, and Ego Skibrik with the points in the region for Palestine taking 5th. And then it was Ines Joly rounding out our top 6 based on those who started in the second round. You know, he was fast. He was really positive and forward everywhere. 1.6 seconds is actually, it's quite a lot, but if you compare the way they rode, the way of going of those 2 horses, you would still think that, yeah, Christian Alman was pretty fast with Mandato van der Neerheid, that David Will could only be 1.6 seconds faster. David Will, Zinedine are the winners of the World Cup qualifier here, week 2 of Jump Saudi for 2024. Behind David, Christian Alman, Mandato van der Neerheid, Ioli Mitelenu, the only other double clear, takes podium for 3rd. And I think that was the case last week as well. 3 double clears for the 3 podium places. Peter Schumacher getting it absolutely right again. Geoffrey Pook with the unlucky rail up there at the double. Ego Skibrik having the first in the second round down for a 2-round total of 4. Ines Joly rounding out our top 6 of those who qualified, and then Sheikh Ali Jamal Nasser Al Nuaimi for the UAE, who was top 5 on the FEI Jumping World Cup standings coming in today. He'll get points for 7th. Ramzi Al-Dahami, last week's winner, points for 9th. Khalid Al Mobti and Space Cake points for 10th. So on down the order, Abdullah Al-Shabatli on the podium last week, not quite his day-to-day, retiring with Bockmann's Lord Petsy Jr., but it all came good for him on the final day with victory in the Grand Prix in the 4-star week. What will be the action when that all plays out here tomorrow night as the finale of the second week of Jump Saudi, the 5-star week? A reminder of the timings for tomorrow if you want to plan your day and tune in with us here from the Grand Prix day of Jump Saudi. We're going to be starting our 5-star tour at 5:15 local with the meter 50 jump-off class, the Longines World Ranking class, and then our Grand Prix is at 7:45. And those times are local here in Saudi, so 3 hours in front of the UK and Ireland and 2 hours in front of Central Europe. And we'll be hearing from David Will here in just a moment or two's time about his victory, his first win of the fortnight here in Jump Saudi, but very, very close last weekend with Zina Dream in the World Cup qualifier. One important place better this weekend to take that lion's share of a just over €300,000 prize fund and the biggest competition victory of the 2 weeks for the Saudi team manager, David Will. And then you'll be staying with us, hopefully, for the presentation of awards, the podium presentation coming up here from the permanent Jump Saudi facility as well. But let's hear from David Will, the winner here in Riyadh.
David Will, congratulations with this amazing victory here in Riyadh. A second place last week, a victory this week, a great revenge for you.
Yeah, great revenge. I couldn't be happier. Obviously today was a tough competition. Christian Allmann was in the lead. He's known to be super fast, so I knew I had to try really hard, but yeah, outcome was perfect.
You offered us also an amazing sport moment here with the battle with Christian Allmann, as you just told us. Tell us about this second round.
I thought both courses, first and second round, were really good. Course designer Peter Schumacher did a great job, I think. The second round was also challenging, but there was a lot to do. There was a tight rollback. There was leave outs that could be done. So a lot of questions that needed answers, and yeah, I liked it.
It's also important for you to be here in Riyadh in front of your riders. You're the trainer and coach of the Saudi team. Give us your impressions about that.
So, of course, that's like a really great collaboration. It's all great guys in the elite program that I work together with. We had a great season with 5-star Grand Prix wins, Nations Cup wins, great performances in Paris at the Olympics, Asian Game gold medals, and so on. So it's a lot of fun. And, of course, here I felt a little bit under pressure that I have to deliver. Otherwise, they don't listen to me anymore.
And of course, yeah, the first congratulations also of Ramzi Al Duhami, who was the winner last week.
Yeah, perfect. Last week was 2 Saudis on the podium together with me, which was brilliant. And yeah, this week one step forward for me, which yeah, makes me very happy.
Thank you so much, and one more time, congratulations.
Thank you.
Winner then of the 5-star World Cup qualifier here in week 2 at Jump Saudi, David Will and Zina Dream. Stay with us, awards coming up. So welcome back to Riyadh, where we are preparing for the awards ceremony of our second and final World Cup qualifier. But the week not done with a big 5-star Grand Prix coming up tomorrow. Just over €100,000 in the prize fund for that. And meter 55 will be the specification for Peter Schumacher's final course of the fortnight here at Jump Saudi. This is the 4th edition of Jump Saudi, and reveling in this permanent showground, and 24 different nations have been represented across the 2 weeks of competition here, and for the first time also including the FEI Dressage World Challenge competition. So fantastic to have Jump Saudi developing and increasing its size and range year on year. A real testament to everyone behind the scenes, Saudi Equestrian Events, Saudi Arabian Equestrian Federation, Saudi Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and of course the government support as well for these organisations and activities. And say this showground is just on the edge of the race course that will play host to the prestigious and world-famous Saudi Cup in the spring as well. Such is the importance. Just outside the airport district of the nation's capital. Well, what a fantastic night of sport with those two-round competitions. Say, those of you familiar with Longines FEI Jumping World Cup action, Western European League, North American League, they are straight jump-off classes, whereas here, this league runs as a two-round competition, and it's given us 2 fantastic weeks of sport. Ramzi Al Dahami victorious last week, and actually quite a few of the regional riders making it through to the second round last week at 4-star. This week, just the one regional rider, Egor Skribrik, who was so close last week. And Ramzi Al Dahami, last week's winner, still inside the top 10 in the final analysis. But David Will, last week's runner-up, becomes the winner here in week 2 of Jump Saudi's World Cup Series. The first 2 legs of 10 of the regional World Cup Series are now safely on the belt of these organisers. Say the series will move on to the likes of the UAE, to Doha, Qatar, and on to Kuwait, before we will know the riders who will represent the Middle Eastern Sub-League of the FEI Jumping World Cup Arab League at next spring's Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Finals in Basel in Switzerland. Well, here they come, our top 3 for the podium presentation, led in by a rider and horse who have been on the podium of World Cup action 2 weeks in a row. Second last week, winner this week by 1.6 seconds. And when the person sitting second is Christian Arman, 1.6 seconds is a very, very impressive margin. David Will, Zinedream victorious with the lion's share of those big Longines world ranking AA points, with over 300,000 euros in the prize fund. Christian Arman, Mandato van der Neerheide taking our second place finish and rounding out our top 3 with the only other double clear, riding her Paris Olympic partner, L'artiste Toxandria, is Greek Olympian Ioli Mytileniu.
Our winners onto the stage. It is Abdulaziz Abdulrahman Al Masad, Deputy Minister for Sports and Youth.
وبكل فخر سعداء بأن نحظى بوكيل وزارة الرياضة لشؤون الرياضة والشباب الأستاذ عبد العزيز بن عبد الرحمن المسعد تتويج أبطال هذا الشوط.
And now we invite our riders in reverse order up on to the stage. In third place from Greece, Ioli Mytileniu.
ندعو الآن إلى منصة التتويج والصعود إلى المنصة بشكل عكسي، وأولا للمركز الثالث اليوناني.
So our top 3 being called forward to the podium. Our principal guest for this award ceremony is Abdulaziz Abdulrahman Al Masad, Deputy Minister for Sports and Youth, accompanied by Fuad bin Fahad Ibrahim, Executive Director of the Saudi Equestrian Federation, and Ali Al Saleh, President of Technical Committees at Saudi Arabian Equestrian Federation as well. So Ioli Mytileniu covers up off her step of the podium. Christian Arman, so very, very close. I say he was on the podium here last year in this World Cup qualifier. He'd have loved to have gone one place better this year.
Going to the top step on the stage. Our winner.
You'll have
from
to see
Germany,
now if he can
David
make it.
Will.
A double in the 5-star Grand Prix, having won that last year with Oterongo Alpha Z. But David Will and Zinedream would consider this job done. He made the opposite point in his interview with Philippe Lejeune Jr. Sometimes you've got to win so that the riders you coach, the Saudi A squad riders, will listen to you for the rest of the season. As David said, with his commitment to Saudi, He's actually going to be jumping at shows out here in this region pretty much consistently right through from now until the end of the spring, February, March or thereabouts. But before the presentation of awards, the national anthem of our winning rider, Davidville, Germany. Congratulations to Davidville on a super success in this competition. As our Deputy Minister for Sports and Youth in the Saudi government, Abdulaziz Abdul Rahman Al Msaid, will congratulate our podium finishers. Fuad bin Fahad Ibrahim, Executive Director of the Saudi Arabian Equestrian Federation, passes across the memento for third place, as presented by the Deputy Minister, to Olympic rider and Olympic horse, Ioli Metilenu L'artiste de Toxandra. Ioli, who became a second-generation Greek Olympian in Paris this summer. A veteran of the Olympics several times over for Germany, former world #1, European champion, World Cup champion, and so many other accolades. Christian Alman and Mandato van der Neerheide take our second place finish here tonight in the World Cup of Jump Saudi. And victory tonight in the FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier for Davidville and Zinedream. So if it couldn't be that it was a Saudi rider, at least the Saudi coach, Davidville, taking victory with Zinedream, as say 1.6 seconds. And when the person breathing down your neck is Christian Alman, that is quite the impressive margin to be able to set. Zinedream, previously a five-star Grand Prix winner, winning the President's Cup at the Longines League of Nations in Abu Dhabi this spring. Now, Mr. Abdulaziz Abdul Rahman Al Msaid, Deputy Minister for Sports and Youth, and Fuad bin Fahad Ibrahim, Executive Director of the Saudi Equestrian Federation, with our podium for the five-star World Cup leg here of Jump Saudi 2024.
Riders to remount their horses for the wonderful lap of honor.
نطلب الآن من الفرسان الأبطال العودة لجيادهم وامتطاء صوات جيادهم لجولة النصر. حضورنا الكرام، جمهور قفز السعودية، مثل ما عودتمونا لنشارك الأبطال فرحتهم بكل الأداء والتميز الذي قدموه خلال الجولتين لشوط المتر و60 سنتيمتر. بطل المركز الأول الفارس الألماني دافيد ويل.
Well, I can see they're all on. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a big
So getting set for the lap of honor here. Davidville, Christian Alman, Ioli Metilenu, our top three. The three double clears that led the way and took the podium finishes in the five-star World Cup qualifier here at Jump Saudi. It's been a fantastic night of sport, fantastic 2 week of sports to this date, but more to come. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for the final of the Meter 45 50 Tour with the Meter 50 Longines World Ranking jump-off class at 5:15. And then tomorrow night at 7:45, it is the Meter 55 Longines World Ranking 5-star Grand Prix week here to conclude the 2024 4th edition of Jump Saudi. Goodbye for now.
Dr. van der Meerheid, and in third, Yoli Mitilineu with La Artiste Toxandra.
أعزائي الحضور، يعود مجددا بطل هذا الشوط دافيد ويل وألمانيا.
All on his own, let's give him a big round of applause, David Will.